one of the methods, methods of production you outlined in one of your fancy graphs about ways to lower CO2 production. One of the components was nuclear power. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of folks in this room have probably been pretty involved in that debate in the city, and in a lot of ways we're kind of the epicenter of that industry in the world. Mm-hmm. Certainly I think everybody here is probably aware of the missteps, the disasters nuclear power has had. Is that realistic to say nuclear power has that kind of future where it can grow in terms of its contribution to, to the lowering of carbon dioxide output?
Right. Here's the dilemma with renewables. They're non-dispatchable, meaning you can't turn them up and turn them down. You can do that with coal, you can do that with natural gas. Because of that, there's a limit to grid penetration by renewables, and things get really complicated and really expensive once you go past about 40% inclusion. Okay, that is in the absence of another complementary way of making electricity that you can modulate. And that's the beauty of nuclear power. You can readily modulate it, you can turn it up and down as required to balance renewables. So the best example, I think, is to look at what India is doing. India doesn't have a carbon price in place, but for a number of years right now, they've had an energy efficiency trading system in place where companies trade efficiency certificates. And it has been tremendously effective in improving energy efficiency within India. They decided to go this route rather than carbon pricing, and it has worked. Just 3 months ago, the government announced their future plans for production of electricity. And they're going to have to install an immense amount of electric power production capacity as the country industrializes and grows. And it's 900 gigawatts is what was projected. That's dropped considerably because of these efficiencies. How are they going to do that? Initially, they're going to do it with a component of coal to balance renewables. That's been dropped. It's going to be done now with just wind, solar, hydro, and nuclear. The idea is to get a zero-emission electricity grid. So that's where nuclear comes in. It balances renewables as a technology that you can modulate production with. Did I answer your question?
Well, I understand that, but aren't there still risks associated with, and long-standing, long-term risks that are associated with some other forms of production?
There are risks associated with everything.
Okay.
If you look at, there's a statistics called early death rate per unit of power. And if you look at the mortality associated with the use of coal, it's basically outrageous. Coal creates higher incidence of disease, and it's less of a problem here than it is in Asia. So we're already paying a price for using fossil fuels that is extreme. The safest technology using that metrics of early deaths per unit of power is nuclear power. This is true. It is safer than solar power. Everybody says that's impossible. How could that be? And the reason is from guys who are putting up their own solar panels on the roof and falling off.